Ever wanted to feel like number one when playing a Bleach Soul Resonance? Well, that's exactly what Bankai Ichigo does offer. The third playable Ichigo, but the only available Ssr Ichigo. So for this video, like always, we are going to be breaking down the character, going over the best builds to get the most out of this unit, and also the best team, and also their rotations. Now, Ichigo as a character is a full assault slash type unit that is capable of doing millions of damage through multiple ways, whether that is special attack, his technique, and definitely, of course, his ultimate. I'd like to say he's the ultimate all-arounder, but honestly, there's nothing this character doesn't do. So while playing with this character, the main gameplay loop that you are going to see here is surrounding his special attack. Unfortunately for Ichigo, he can instantly activate his special attack whenever he wants to. The way to do that is by striking with the basic attack 3 times, and after the third strike, pause briefly. Once you see a glow appear, tag the basic attack once more to activate his special attack. 99% of the time, you are always going to want to do the special attack since it does deal more damage compared to his basic attack. However, his basic attack combo isn't bad by any means, since the final strike itself does have Ichigo flash step behind the enemy to deal an attack behind them. It's very situational, but there are times where you can use this flash step behind the enemy to actually dodge an incoming attack. But going back to Ichigo's special attack, one great thing about this character is that anytime he does use a technique, an ultimate, or a counter attack, he will then get to follow up that attack with a special attack. And this is great to combo, especially alongside his technique effects, because anytime this character does use a technique, it will apply Getsuga Mark. And this comes strictly from his core passive, and this Getsuga Mark allows Ichigo to prioritize those enemies with his special attacks. And that's why, for example, when you do use your technique, follow that up with a special attack, you instantly teleport to that enemy to deal the attack. And thanks to his passive boost 1, Ichigo then does deal 25% more damage to those enemies inflicted with his Getsuga Mark. So like I already mentioned, special attacks are going to be the main way this character can deal damage, but his damage gets significantly increased once you do get access to his ultimate. It does take quite a while to build up, but once activated, a lot is going to be happening. For starters, he puts on his Hollow Mask for 10 seconds, and while in this 10-second transform state, you will immediately activate a counterattack, potentially lowering the enemy's spiritual pressure gauge. But he's also going to reset the cooldown for his technique and allow for 2 uses of his technique. And like already mentioned, whenever this character activates a counterattack or a technique, he can immediately follow that up with a special attack. So once you transform, you can very easily go into a counterattack, special attack, technique, special attack, another technique, and another special attack. That's 6 attacks in a very small amount of time. This overall is going to take less than 10 seconds, but once those 10 seconds is up, Ichigo would then activate his Death Blow. This is going to be an absolutely massive Getsuga Tensho nuke, something we ain't seen since episode 1 of 1000 Year Blood War. And the damage on this Death Blow attack can be further increased, like mentioned, thanks to his special attack 3. If you previously inflicted the enemy with a Getsuga Mark, you would then deal 25% more damage. And thanks to his second passive boost, every time you activate a special attack while holified, you will increase the damage of your next ultimate Death Blow by 20%, up to 4 times. And this is easily obtained through the character's gameplay, since again, you get access to multiple special attacks in those 10-second periods. And those are going to be all the ways you increase your damage output, specifically on his ultimate Death Blow attack. So like I already mentioned, Ichigo is a very simple character. You're going to be constantly spamming your special attacks whenever you can, use your technique whenever you can, and when the ultimate is ready, that is when you are going to do insane levels of burst damage that pretty much no other character can see in this game, at least as of right now. In terms of how to build the character, however, the recommended skills to upgrade is passive, basic attack, and also ultimate. Of course, his technique and counter attack are also important, but the main way you are going to be dealing damage with this character is through the basic attack, therefore special attack, since that's tied together. Upgrading one upgrades the other, and then his ultimate is also going to be important for those long form content where you have enough time to build the ultimate, so getting that as high as you can is ideal to increase your overall damage outputs. For his recommended weapon stamp, of course, you do want to use his exclusive one. This exclusive weapon stamp increases your critical rate by 15%. Naturally, every character wants to have a high crit rate. However, thanks to Ichigo's passive boost 3, whenever Ichigo's critical rate exceeds 100%, every 1% beyond that is going to be converted to critical damage. So it's important that you can get this character's critical rate upwards to 100%, because that will then offer more damage through the critical damage stat. And of course, one way to do that is by using the character's weapon stamp. However, with this, whenever you do release a special attack, Ichigo will then summon 2 after images to the attack, allowing you to deal 100% more damage. This also, from the looks of it, increases the range of the special attack, making it overall more powerful attack. And since this attack is the main way this character deals damage, it's very important you do get the character's weapon stamp. For the core stamp, Ichigo is in a very fortunate situation where you can use his exclusive core stamp, the Getsuga Tango, or you can use an alternative that is even debated to be better than his Getsuga Tango. And the reason for that is because of how Getsuga Tango does work. This core stamp only really helps out Ichigo when he is in a holified state, because while holified, you can manually tap the counterattack button to let off an additional attack. His critical rate is increased by 15%. That's important again thanks to his passive boost 3. But when you manually release a counterattack, which this core stamp allows you to do, you will then increase your critical rate by an additional 25%. And since this core stamp is all about dealing counterattack damage, even when you aren't holified, it will increase the amount of counterattack damage that you can do by 60%. And of course, this can be further increased by duplicates. But thanks to the I've Noticed You for a While core stamp that you can get through the stamp corridor, this core stamp is more in line with what Ichigo wants to do when you aren't transformed in his holified state. So this core stamp allows you to increase the damage of a special attack by 25%. Each time a technique is released, increases the special attack damage by additional 12.5% up to 25%. So in total, you can get 50% consistent special attack damage. And of course, this also gets further increased by quite a lot by getting duplicates of this core stamp. And the big question right now is, which core stamp should you be using? The Getsuga Tango or the I've Noticed You for a While? The Getsuga Tango gets better depending on how you build the character, more so focusing on ultimate charge rate so you can activate the holified state a lot faster. Whereas the I've Noticed You for a While core stamp is a lot better in short form content where you don't really get an opportunity to activate your holomar. Additionally, which one you have duplicates of is definitely going to be the better one. In my case, from my testing, my level 4 ascended Getsuga Tango of course does out DPS I've Noticed You for a While, but if you do have more duplicates into that item, it's definitely going to be better. And if you are in a situation where you have Ichigo's duplicates, where you can further increase your critical rate, where you don't need that critical rate bonus from the Getsuga Tango, then I've Noticed You for a While is definitely going to be better. Regardless though, both are very good core stamps for this character. So that's two really good core stamps that you can use in case you are missing one or the other. But if you do have both, I'd recommend trying out both, take them into the training zone to see what offers more damage. For me though, personally, I'm sticking to Getsuga Tango. Now when it comes to the stamp set that you want to be using, of course to no one's surprise, you want to be using the Rising Black Moon. The 2-piece set gives you 11% more slash damage, and the 3-piece set increases your basic attack by 18%, but each time a technique is released, increases his special attack damage by 28%. Fortunately, Ichigo happens to have a technique that instantly allows him to use a special attack, so this is the perfect stamp set for him. But having a closer look at his stamps, the first stamp you want to prioritize the basic stat being attack percentage or slash damage bonus. For his advanced stats, there are 4 things you want to look out for: critical rate, critical damage, attack percentage, and also ultimate charge rate. Like mentioned already, the higher the critical rate, the higher the critical damage. So increasing that as high as you can is definitely ideal. But most importantly, the ultimate charge rate is definitely going to be a big stat that you can get in, because the faster you can activate the ultimate, the quicker you can deal damage. For his second slot stamp, I'd recommend going with critical rate or critical damage. It really depends on how much crit rate, how much crit damage you have gotten from the other stats. I would say if you don't have any duplicates for Ichigo, definitely go with crit rate. If you have duplicates of Ichigo where his boundary can increase his crit rate by using special attacks, definitely go with critical damage. And then for his third slot, definitely go with ultimate charge rate. Again, the faster you can activate your ultimate, the better and more damage this character can deal. If you are in a situation, because many people have been working on this character and have decided to evolve your core stamps and therefore picked up a passive, by far the best thing you want to pick up here is ultimate damage increase or special attack damage increase. Fortunately, one of my stamps did pick that up, and since special attack is the main way this character is going to deal damage, that by far is going to be the best passive you can get for 6-star set stamps. And then lastly, for his bonds, there are 3 bonds you can go with. The first one is the Jushiro, Shunsui, and also Yamamoto bond. This overall increases your damage by 15%. You can go with the Omaida, Yoruichi, and also Soifon bond set, which does increase your critical damage by 30%. Or you can go with the event exclusive one with Toshiro, Momo, and Aizen, where damage dealt is increased by 8%, and that can be further increased upwards to 20% based on your critical rate. And then when it comes to Ichigo's best team, fortunately for this character, given that he is a full assault slash unit, he has access to some really good supports. For your sub DPS, you definitely want to go with Byakuya, as Byakuya does offer 30% more slash damage through his battlefield effects. But Byakuya also does work hand in hand with Ichigo, because Byakuya's battlefield skill only can activate when a character uses a technique or a special attack. So with Ichigo, every time you use a technique, and therefore special attack, you're constantly able to let off Byakuya's battlefield skill, allowing for a faster rotation and overall more damage, as Byakuya does also lower slash resistance. For supports, definitely go with Kisuke. He's right now the best support in the game that pretty much fits into every team, especially a slash-focused team where Kisuke can then also deal more damage. However, in a situation where you are going with two teams, let's say for example Frenzy Feast or Adventure Mode, maybe it's better to use Kisuke in the weaker team and instead use Yachiru as your go-to support. But Yachiru also doubles down as an additional support if you are someone that is lacking Kisuke. Yachiru is a character that focuses on increasing critical rate, critical damage, slash damage bonus, and also attack rate by just being a spectator once you switch her out after 3 seconds of using a skill. With Yachiru, you only have to use a skill once and then just focus on switching between Ichigo and also Byakuya. For the attack rotation, it's fairly simple. Whether you're using Kisuke or you're using Yachiru, start off with them, activate their skill to increase the damage output, go into Byakuya, activate his technique, and then switch into Ichigo, continuously use your special attacks, your techniques, and repeat that process, keeping the stat boost active at all times if you are using Kisuke. Only really using your technique and special attack to deal damage. Again, very rarely do you want to use the full basic attack combo. And when your ultimate is ready, that is when you're able to go super crazy. Where if you do have the Getuga Tangle equipped, you will do that counterattack, followed up by a special attack. You'll then use the counterattack again, followed up by a special attack. You'll then use a technique, followed up by a special attack. You'll then use another technique, followed up by a special attack, and then continuously using special attacks until the ultimate death blow activates itself automatically. You can let it off early if you want to, but you only really need to do that if the enemy's spiritual pressure gauge is about to reactivate. More often than not though, you can just let that death blow activate itself. But through all the attacks that Ichigo can spam, this allows him to be a very high DPS unit, the highest in the game right now. Toshiro is the character that we recently just reviewed that is able to put in some really good damage numbers up, but by default, because of Ichigo being so powerful, people kind of got the impression that Toshiro was a weak character. I definitely don't think that's the case. Toshiro is a very powerful unit for a completely different team, a much weaker team at that too, since Ichigo has access to some of the best supports in the game, Yachiru, Kisuke, and a really good sub DPS with Byakuya. But also because Ichigo has just been such an amazing unit as our first limited unit too, a character that many people rerolled for. His damage output's absolutely insane, even in a way compared to Toshiro, that it kind of gave people the impression that Toshiro's not good enough. But he is, but Ichigo's just a significantly better character. And that's why I can say with certainty at the end of the video that Ichigo is the best character in the game, and it's thanks to his very powerful team and supports, but also with the way this character does work. Like I said, he's a very simple unit. He's all about dealing damage, doesn't really have great survivability, but that is very easily avoidable by dodging attacks. But this character can just spam his special attack whenever he wants to, and anytime he uses a counterattack or technique or ultimate, you can then follow up with more special attacks. And I guess it gets even better because he also has access to a core stamp that isn't exclusive to his character, that people are using to get really good damage through his special attacks. So he's also a fairly easy character to build too. All in all though, Ichigo is an amazing character, the best character in Bleach Soul Resonance. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you later next time. Take care and peace.